This is the Marginally Geeky Show, the Epically Geeky Book Club.
Greetings and welcome to the Marginally Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight I'm joined by Ray and Joseph. How are y'all doing?
Doing really good.
Doing good.
Doing great.
Yeah. If you're watching the video version, which if you're not, you're missing out. So Ray is in their newly opened, refurnished, redone bookstore, and it looks awesome. Yeah. So we both have real backgrounds, but people can actually believe mine. Other people might look at yours and be like, "That's fake." Obviously, that's fake. He's not in a real bookstore.
In case anybody does think it's fake, hang on, because this is, not still here.
Let's see.
It's a book.
That is a book. Make sure you reshelve it.
I did
correctly. So that's so awesome for you guys. I love that so much. Sean was going to join us, but unfortunately the weather has knocked him on his ass with a migraine, which sucks because I was hoping to hear his input on this book, mainly because I forgot to see what he had. I didn't see what he had written up above. He actually said earlier today that he wasn't going to make it. He said I did listen to it twice, so I'm assuming he enjoyed the book because I can't imagine listening to it twice if you didn't care for it. But that being said, this was my pick. This is probably, I'd have to go back and really look at it. This is probably within the first 2 or 3 books. Well, this version is a later version, but this is one of the first 2 or 3 books I ever picked up on Audible. And honestly, it was one of the reasons it cemented me on Audible. I was just like, oh no, this is fantastic. This is better than I could ever read it in my own head. And so I've been an Audible fan ever since. So this month we are discussing World War Z by Max Brooks. And yes, he is the son of Mel Brooks, which is going to come into play here possibly because when we start talking about the voice cast on this thing. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, we'll switch over here real quick. Here we go. All right. So World War Z, written by Max Brooks, narrated by a full cast. Like I said, this is a newer version. So initially what they did was the book came out. They picked some of the stories and had readers for it, and it became an abridged version. And then later on, they had other voice actors come in and read the rest of the stories, and it was the Lost Files or something like that is what they called them. And then in 2014, they finally unified them into one giant book. Even though I say one giant book, it's still only 12 hours and 9 minutes. It's not. You would think as many stories and as many people who read on this thing would probably be a giant of a book, but it's not. It's about the normal size. So. I was born distracted saying here, did World War Z have a happy ending? Yes. I mean, we survived, so I guess that's the happy ending, right? The ratings on this, though, is a 4.6 out of 25,000. Almost 26,000 reviews, and it has a 4.6. So that should tell you something. And so, yeah, so I'm going to read through the synopsis real quick. In this new classic of apocalyptic fiction that feels all too real, the zombie war came unthinkably close to eradicating humanity. The documentary-style oral history records the testimony of men, women, and sometimes children who came face-to-face with the living, or at least the undead, hell of that dreadful time. Like I said, normally we would talk about, it was written by Mel Brooks and so on and so forth, and we would talk about who the narrator is. And that's where this book really shines. This is the cast that read for this book. Let's just run through some of these names. F. Murray Abraham, Alan Alda, freaking goat Alan Alda read for this.
Nathan
Bruce
Fillion.
Boxleitner, Max Brooks, Common, Denise Crosby, Mark Hamill, Nathan Fillion, John McElroy, Alfred Molina, Steve Park, Cal Penn, Simon Pegg, Carl Reiner, Rob Reiner, Henry Rollins, Jerry Ryan, Martin Scorsese,
Just a few people.
just John Turturro, like just a few of the. This was a phenomenal cast, and which is why I bring up the fact that Mel, he's the son of Mel Brooks. And when we get to it, if we have any questions, that is one of my questions. Is like, so did you go to your dad and was like, hey, Dad, could you call in a favor or two to read my book? Because I don't understand how they got this cast. Otherwise, it's insane. Because as far as I know, this was his first book. So, but yeah. With that being said, initial thoughts. Anyone want to go first?
Initial thoughts are, why didn't they do, instead of a movie, an episodic type of show for like a Netflix or an HBO to tell this story instead of that friggin' movie?
Oh, the movie. Yeah. Like, as soon as I heard they were making a movie for it, I thought, oh, this could be good or bad. Let's see how this goes.
Is it going to be 20 parts?
Yeah, I had such high hopes for it. And when I heard that Brad Pitt was attached to it, I'm like, okay, I guess maybe they're going to have him playing the interviewer or something. Like maybe that would make sense. I'm not 100% sure. And then as soon as I saw the first trailer, everyone I knew who had not read the book was just like, this looks like an awesome action zombie movie. And I'm just like, no, this is not what I wanted. This is not World War Z.
No. I think an HBO series would have knocked this out.
Oh my God, yes. And we're going to talk. We're definitely going to talk about that later. So, Joseph, initial thoughts?
I really liked it. It was an easy read, I guess, because there was enough variety because of the full cast that it never felt like every once in a blue moon you can tell it's the same voice actor doing the same, just changing pitch of his voice. So that obviously with the full cast eliminates that. But I thought it was a very well put together story. Is very, like, the imagery was like, I could picture what he was describing, especially that one scene, was it in Japan, when the guy is like rappelling down the apartment building with tying the bed sheets. Like, I was in my head, I could see that. I mean, I of course just happened to be that while I was listening to that one part of the book, I was on the rowing machine in the gym, and I was like, I can feel you, man. I know exactly what you're trying to do as you're going down those bed sheets.
Yeah, like I said, I've already said before, I love this book. This is in my top pantheon of books. Like, I usually listen to this book once every couple of years at least, usually around spooky time. But I love this book. So the key thing about this book is it, and I've always said this, if they were going to make this into a movie, they have to do it into 3 parts: before the war, during the war, and after the war. And the book is very much kind of broken up that way as well. But what's happened is in the intro for the book, Max Brooks is basically a reporter, and he's been tasked by this new world government to go interview all these people who were, survived the war, find out what you can, come up with a report and submit it. And when he does, they're like, listen, we don't need all the human stories. We just need the raw data. Pisses him off. They're like, well, you got the stuff. Go publish a book. So he's like, fine, I did. And that's what this is. And so you have all of these fantastic voice actors and celebrities and everyone else who's reading the parts of these different characters. And they're literally telling the story from literally like one of the first times that someone finds out that there's a zombie plague all the way till this is how we managed to survive. And it goes through everything. It talks about the economics of how this would happen, the warfare behind it, like just like everything. This is a soup to nuts type book of that whole thing. And I know that a lot of people don't care for that. I have heard people say they've read it and they didn't really care for it because they were just like, it was too technical. And I'm just like, no, that's what I wanted. I wanted you know, there's plenty of movies and other stuff out there that it's just and I don't get me wrong. I like dumb zombie movies. I'm perfectly fine with a dumb zombie movie. I'm even okay as I've gotten older to be okay with the fast zombies as well. I mainly like fast zombies for video games. That makes more sense. Slower zombies for movies and stuff. I think it builds the, you know, the intent and stuff better. But like this was just like, to me, this will always be the pinnacle of zombie stories because we get the full arc. It's not just because another thing is a lot of zombie stories. Maybe we see the beginning. A lot of times we see like the midpoint, but we never see the end. Like it's like, okay. And like even The Walking Dead, it's like it never ended. Like it just keeps going and going. Of course, it keeps getting worse and worse, but so anyway, normally we go through and you know talk about the characters. It's kind of hard to do that with this, and especially because there are so many characters. Let's see what Born Distracted said here real quick. You guys should read some of the parts, or you guys could read your favorite chapter from the book. That would take a while, but besides, we're not going to do this justice compared to some of these characters, and we're going to go through some of that. So I was like, man, how do I remember who all was who and everything else? And luckily, thank God, I found a website where someone has actually gone through and done that. So is there any particular, do you have a particular memory or a story or something you want to talk about? And then we can kind of talk about, we can talk about it. We can also talk about who read that story.
So funny enough, I was right there putting in the trim, and I'm like, fuck me, that's Mark Hamill.
I did not realize, I knew he was in here. I did not realize who he was reading for until I started going through this.
It's awesome.
So Mark Hamill plays, where is he? Todd, how do you say it? Wino? Yeah. He comes up in the book. He comes up in the book multiple times, and it's fantastic that he does because we get the boots on the ground viewpoint from him. So he initially talks about once like things start going to shit, the army decides, all right, we're going to make a stand and we're going to show that the U.S. government can handle this and it's going to be fine. And they decide to do it in Yonkers. And so he starts talking about it, and this is why I love the book so much. He's talking about how everything was so backwards and nothing was thought through and everything. He's like, the water was still running, and yet they set up a bunch of latrines and stuff. He's like, there were buildings that we could have put snipers in every single window, but instead we're like blasting out the parking lot and putting like tanks and shit in there and all this other stuff. So he starts explaining that, and it goes horribly wrong. Like it's just this nightmare scene. And then he shows up again once the army has kind of started getting their shit together during the war, and he starts talking about the difference between like, you know, how things used to be and how things are now. And then we get him at the very end because we come to find out that so once the U.S. military gets their shit together, they basically start making a push from California to across the country. And so it literally, our war ended, you know, back, you know, on the East Coast, and like there's photographs and stuff, you know, like you would have like, with the flag being raised at Iwo Jima and stuff like that. And he just happened to be there for that part. So, but yeah, I did not realize it was Mark Hamill until I read this, and I was just like, oh yeah, that was totally Mark Hamill. So I totally get that.
There was a part that it made my blood boil. Helped me during my workout, but I was like genuinely angry. Excuse me, when this happened, but it was one of the female parts, and she was talking about her housekeeper, and she described her as one of the clean ones. I have been called that before, and man, was I pissed off for like the next like 20 or 30 minutes. Just I was ripping off sets left and right, but like I was like, there was a brief moment. I was like, I don't know if I can finish this book, because like I felt like she was talking to me, you know?
Right.
But
yeah.
Eventually I got through it, and the rest of the book was great. But that, like, I still remember. I was in the middle of my on rep number 5 out of 10 on my second set of bench press when she said that, and I almost launched the bar off of me kind of thing.
So that was one of the things that, we're jumping around here, which is perfectly fine. It's our show. We do what the fuck we want, right? One of the questions I would have for him if I ever got to meet Max Brooks would be, did you get help writing the specific voices? Because to me, it seemed like every person was an individualized person. I did not get the sense that this was all coming from one person from a centralized idea. Like, I very much feel like he either got help or he was really damn good at putting himself in that character's shoes and writing from that viewpoint. Because you get stuff like that. You get the one of the clean ones comments, and it's just like, coming from a Jewish guy, I don't think I can see how he'd be like, yeah, I'm done with this. But did you have anyone, was there any other ones in particular that, because otherwise I'm just going to kind of start running through some of these. The
other one that really stuck out was Nathan Fillion, and listening to him as well, and especially with his post today, I'm like, fuck yeah.
He posted today?
Yeah, go check out Nathan Fillion.
Okay.
It's actually,
well, I know he's posting about the thing that's coming up.
Yeah,
so.
When We Were Spacemen is the podcast. His Instagram posted, so just go take a look at that.
As long as they pretend Serenity didn't happen, I'm okay.
Just go watch the Instagram story.
I've been watching part of them, but I haven't gotten all the way through them.
So yeah.
I was gonna say, of course you would pick out Nathan Fillion because he's a Canadian soldier and he's actually like elite forces. And I love the fact that it's just like, yeah, we were sent in and we did the job, but it was also just like, it was like, this is the very beginning of the book. So it's very much what the hell is going on. Like, no one has any clue about what's going on. Yeah, like you really, the one that you said with, what's his face really got me. No, not Blaine. Was it? Where was it? Martin Scorsese, The Moneymaker Without Remorse.
Yeah,
that was crazy to me. Like, I didn't realize that was Martin Scorsese. Like, he acted the hell out of that one. Now, you want to talk about a character I wanted to punch through the fucking wall. Talking about, what I do. I got mine. I didn't hurt anyone. Bullshit, you didn't hurt anyone. You fucking sold a lie to the entire world and made money off of it. Like, that was. So in the book, this character, he goes to interview this character, and the character's like, we start hearing about African rabies. That's what's originally called as African rabies. And he's like, yeah, so we got a rabies vaccine and we marketed it and we sold it. We sold air purifiers and like everything you can possibly think of. And the whole thing was like, we basically saved the economy, and because, people felt like they could go back to work and everything. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the way he was able to get into these people's heads as characters, I'm just like, I guarantee you there's people out there that think exactly that way.
Well, so we saw it though, during COVID, up here in Canada anyway. There was some people, and I know it's all over the world, but in Canada specifically, there was somebody hoarding cleaning supplies, and then their whole point is they were going to sell it for a premium, and that got shut down. They were like, nope, you can what you bought it for, but you are not making money off that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah. That part of the book is called Blame, when they're talking about that. Simon Pegg plays Grover Carlson, the former White House spin doctor. And I also think this book is fantastic in that the way that it breaks down, like the way certain governments would react and stuff. I could see a lot of that would be the actual way that was happening, especially because we'll get to that question here in a second. I don't want to completely give that one up yet. The female Russian soldier played by Jerry Ryan was fantastic. The viewpoint, I can see how that idea of you're going to, y'all aren't happy. You're arguing with this. You're going to riot. We're not taking this. You're going, every 10 people pick who you're going to kill, and you're going to kill them because you're going to accept, the burden for all this. That ideology of certain countries, of very much of it's either I'm just being a good soldier and I'm just doing my job versus, I forget which one is it, West or East Germany, that was very much like, no, like this was our fault. We must accept the burden of our fathers. And, you know, seeing both sides of that in this, I thought was really well done.
The other one that really stood out to me was the downed pilot, and she got contacted with in contact with the other. That was brilliant. I really like that one.
Who was that?
It's kind of a cliffhanger, right? They don't ever actually know the person she was talking to was real or not.
Yeah, they leave it very ambiguous. It's very much just like, you know, she's like, what does it matter? I survived. I made it. And if they really thought I was crazy, they would have taken my wings. And I was just like, it's a good point.
Yep.
So, what's crazy is Frank Darabont, who originally did The Walking Dead, was the director Roy Elliott. I thought for sure that would have been Scorsese, but it wasn't. It was Frank Darabont. I love that story that he's feeling bad. He's trying to figure out what he can do. And he's like, well, I can make movies. And he doesn't think it does very well. And then all of a sudden it starts curbing the, what is it called? It's not suicides. It was the phenomenon where people just give up. Like they just go to bed and they just don't wake up.
Yeah.
So, and I know that is an actual thing that happens. So, one of the other ones that I also thought was so great was Alan Alda, and you can tell it's Alan Alda as soon as he starts talking. But I love his character of Arthur Sinclair, and he's just like, yeah, the president tasked me with figuring out the tools and the talent, and he's going through these stories. He's just like, it was, I can yell just as long and hard as anyone else can. He's like, the beef barons, that was kind of a problem, but we got to figure it out, and this, that, and the other. And he's like, it was the military that, and it's funny because I've listened to this book over and over and over again, and I keep making more and more connections. Like, someone will make a hint about, well, they gutted the Air Force, and unfortunately that's why I'm doing this. And then it talks, then you read a little bit earlier or a little bit later, and Alan Alda is like, yeah, we had to cut pretty much every plane we had that wasn't, it wasn't a prop plane or whatever. And the reason why I picked this book now, that's one of the things I didn't mention at the top of the show, is because of Rob Reiner's passing. And he plays the wacko, the VP. And I also love his character as well. I love that line in the book where he's talking about the president, who is a black man. And he's like, my party we can't have two of those people. He's like, grow up. Like we're in fucking danger. What the hell? But I love his comment that he's supposedly, or what he says was, and I used to refer to myself and my former partner at the first high school I worked at, when he talks about, he was the light, I was the heat. That's how me and my former partner were. Like we'd be walking down the hallway and someone would be like, how are y'all doing today? He was always very upbeat, always very positive and stuff. And I'm just like, whatever. So I was the heat in that situation. So, Joseph, anything else that stood out that you wanted to mention right offhand?
The way that they describe, because the question that I kept having was for the ones that went into the ocean, and they kept trying to figure out, I was like, how are they not disintegrating under the pressure at the ocean floor? So I'm glad they addressed that.
Yes.
With submarine captain and whatnot.
Yeah. Or
the gunner or whatever he was.
Yeah.
And they also bring it up because there's that one part where he's talking to the woman up north, and she's like, why is the human body is made mostly out of water, and when it freezes, that's why we can't permanently freeze people, because the cells explode. Why does it not affect them? And I like having those things not answered, but like you said, at least they addressed it. At least they were like, well, people are going to ask these type of questions. We have to have something for it. And if it's just like, we don't know. So, I love the idea when he's explaining Total War. That one is fantastic, where he's like, people always say they're going to Total War. He's like, it's not Total War. What about the conscientious people who are holding back? What about What about the old? What about the young? Are you sleeping for war? Are you taking a dump for war? Like, that's not total war. He's like, zombies, that's total war.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I also really want to, like, one of the things that I also really love about this book is just the way that the idea that it starts here and how it spreads across the world and how these different countries, including ours, would react to it. And when I first read this was early 2000s. I was like, man, I hope we would do better. And then certain events happened later on, and I'm like, nope, we wouldn't have done any better at all. Like, this is, with the exception of political climates changing and some of the countries maybe changing around a little bit from the way they were written in this book. If this were to happen today, this would be a handbook on basically how we would do.
Pretty damn accurate. It's kind of scary.
I'm convinced that 99% of the Earth's nations would fall if it were to happen today.
Yeah.
And most of it, not, or I would say at least a third of it, not even from the zombies, just from infighting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is sad to say.
So let's hit the main questions. What was your favorite part of the book? I'm just going to go first. Almost everything. I love almost this entire book. I love the voices. I love the stories. I adore this book. Like I said, it is one of my absolute favorites, and I keep going back to it over and over again. Anything that we haven't covered that's a favorite part for you, Ray?
I'm trying to think. I think the pilot part was actually probably my favorite, and leaving it open-ended, but also like they wouldn't take my wings away. Like that was probably my favorite part.
Joseph?
I think just because of the way it worked out, the two submarines going after each other, I think.
Oh, that was a good story.
My favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, that was crazy. Any least favorite parts?
Don't call me one of the clean ones.
Fair enough. So, I will say there are a couple of stories that tend to be a little slower, mainly because I've also, read it so many times, so I know what to expect. But some of the stories do go a little bit slower. I hate the fact that the movie that we got was nothing like this. Like, literally, I think the only character that shows up from the book is the old Jewish spy. I think he was in the movie. That was about it. And I love the fact that the way he explains it, he's like, you dig. If 9 people agree on something, you dig. You keep going until you get to the truth.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
The other one that I'm ringing a bell here is the cocky doctor that
oh,
and then the other doctor who helped him out like comes back and he's dead.
Yes.
that motherfucker deserved that.
Yes, he did. The other thing that I absolutely also hate about, one of the things that I dislike about this book, and it's not actually the book itself. It's the fact that now that I've gotten older and I understand a little bit more about how the Hollywood machine works, I've said multiple times that this book needs to be made into 3 movies. This book will never be made into movies, at least like this. And it's mainly because there are too many governments, specifically China. This movie would never air because to show how they reacted, there's no way they would let that play in China. There's a lot of the U.S. government would probably not be happy with it either. I mean, and rightfully so. But yeah, otherwise, like we've kind of said before, this is almost, it's scary how thought through this is as to how some of these countries would react. So yeah. Jeff, any particular anything else that you didn't care for?
No, not really. I think we covered pretty much anything that I would have said.
What do you think of the writing?
Creative. Like this is one of the few multiple storylines that I liked. Like you hear sometimes where it could be like a little too disjointed, but this told a cohesive story across the time frame that I thought worked well.
Well, the fact that
if you had told me that this was a collection of short stories by a bunch of different authors, I would have believed you.
Yes.
Oh, totally. Yeah, no, you're totally right about that, Joseph.
Yeah.
I think there's several things that really help you with that, Ray. One, it's told in chronological order, pretty much for the the entire thing, which is fantastic. So you're not jumping around back and forth. But literally every chapter starts off with place and person. For if this is the person, here's why I'm there. This is where we're at. And I mean, of course, it would be damn near impossible to confuse the voice cast when you're going from chapter to chapter. There might be some that you go back to that character and you're like, oh, so that's the guy we're going back and talking to. But yeah, like it's very clear you're talking to someone else about a different thing, and it's very well done that way.
It's interesting. We talked about the movie already, and I was just thinking about how I would do this as an episode now. And honestly, I would probably start it out as a podcast. It's the guy turning on the camera. He's like, all right, this is my podcast, and this is how we're going to tell the story. And then it would start the interview, and then it kicks into the memory of, and then you go and see the scene like they all acted out, and then it ends with the podcast again. I think that's how I would tell the story now.
That's not a bad way to do it. It's not a bad way to do it. Would you read another book by this author?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually have read another book by Max Brooks. I didn't really care for it that much. Well, I've actually read a couple other books of his. One of them I didn't really care for. It's called De-Evolution, and it's about a group of people that are stuck in like a cabin or in like a small cabin community or whatever, and there are legitimate Bigfoots like attacking them. So it was okay. I didn't hate it. I just didn't really care for it. And then the other thing is he also wrote, and I've actually got a copy of it back here. I should have grabbed it, is the Zombie Survival Guide. And it legitimately is no stories, nothing like that. It is literally like a survival guide of like, here's what you need to do. You need to get out of the city. You need to find the certain tools and stuff like, and it's very well done. So, and it like goes into and talks about, listen, here's the thing though. Yes, you can bring down a lot of zombies with a gun, especially, if it's got multiple bullets, but on the other hand, you're going to run out of bullets, and then you're going to have to go find bullets. Whereas you could feasibly reuse, a club or something like that. And it literally goes into all these conversations. It's very well done. It's a very good companion piece to this, to be honest with you. Yeah. Did reading the book impact your mood? And if so, how?
Yes. The couple different parts that did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ray?
Yeah, there are parts that did, and where it was like entertaining, and so you'd be chuckling, especially Mark Hamill when he's talking. That's like, yeah, no, I could totally see that shit happening, and just for the most part, for the good. A couple times it was like, fuck, we're stupid, but yeah.
Yeah. What did y'all think about Land Warrior? Like, I totally could see that being a thing and be totally screw everything up. Like the idea that everyone is able to talk at any given time and everything else, and like, that was, the idea that he's like, yeah, and then all of a sudden this guy goes down, and the camera just happens to be just perfect as this family tears him apart. And of course, everyone's seeing that and freaking out, and they're like, he's like, that's when the line broke. That's when everyone pretty much shit themselves and was just like, I'm out of here. So, but let's see here. I like I said, it makes me thoughtful. It makes me think about like, is this how things would actually go? It makes me sad because I think this is how things would actually go, but it also makes me hopeful in that I'm just like, I would hope at some point we would figure out what the hell's going on and get our shit together and put our differences aside and get shit done. Like I said, of course, it all goes back to me really loving the book. So, are there any lingering questions from the book?
I don't think any that I don't need answered. There might be a few out there, but I'm good with the answers that were provided.
Okay.
Same.
Cool. Did you enjoy the narrator? Right now it's just written, did you enjoy the narrator? And I'm like, yes. The narrators? Yeah. The full cast? Yes. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think everybody did a great job with their there were some that were a little more natural with their speech than others. Like some people, you could tell they're reading a script.
Yeah.
And others were like right in the character, and it felt very natural. So I will say that might be a little bit different. Difference between, again, voice acting and performance of.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because some of these people are definitely voice actors. Like, they've done a lot of voice work. Like Mark Hamill, for example, is, he knows how to do voice acting. Whereas some of them, are just like, hey, let's get the celebrity in there, and they're like, maybe they haven't done voice work yet, so they're not quite sure how they read off of each other and everything.
Well, and that's why I like again, Nathan Fillion was more of that natural. Like it felt more natural. I can't remember. There was one in particular that I'm like, tell me you're reading a script more, right? It was just okay.
If Mark Hamill had decided to do any of his parts as the Joker, I would not have been upset.
No one would have. Another story that I also really liked, and I didn't realize it until probably the second time I read the book that I really kind of put two and two together. Like you were saying, the young man in Japan that has to shimmy down the side of the building to survive, and then you also get the story of the old blind man who is going around Japan, and he's using his basically his walking stick, and he's like killing all the zombies, and he's like, I always got the body and buried it because it would be the proper thing to do. And then at the end of the book, you find out that like the young guy is like his apprentice now, and he's just like, I don't believe all of the spiritual stuff, he goes, but I like what he has come together, and I'm here for it. So I thought that was interesting that you kind of see that story go together. And like I said, I didn't pick that up the first time I read it. I was just like, okay, is this the same guy? Oh, it is. Okay, cool. So I can be a little slow sometimes. Any particular tropes or anything in the book that you really liked? I think this is one of the better ways. This is one of the best versions of telling a story through multiple viewpoints. Because like you said, sometimes you have to stop and ask, wait, who's talking? What are we doing here? And this made it very clear that we were going from person to person, what the time frame was, and everything else. And I think that's a key thing to telling this type of story is making it very clear to the reader, we're jumping around, we're doing something else. So, if you could ask the author anything, what would it be?
When COVID happened, what were you listening for?
Okay, so that's basically the special question I had. So let's just go ahead and address it. This book was written well before COVID. This book was written early 2000s. After surviving that, does it change your mind about how plausible this book is? 110%. Before COVID happened, I thought it's the 2020 or 20, late 20 teens. Like we've advanced, we've become more open. Social media has definitely got people's voices out there and stuff more. And then COVID happened, and I was just like, and now I'm just like, nope, this is, like we said before, this is going to be the fucking playbook for how this shit goes down if it ever happens. Hopefully not. What about y'all? Does COVID make you feel better or worse about this as being the outcome?
Both in a weird way, because there were pockets of humanity that were like, no, this is good. We've got this figured out, and like we'll work together. And but then there were the other pockets that were like, fuck all of you, we're gonna do what we want anyway, and then that's gonna expand the zombie apocalypse. So it's all a lie. It's all a lie to keep you in your house.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, there's a certain demographic of people that like to wear red hats that may find this offensive.
I would.
It did make me think of that one quote from George Carlin where he says, "Think about how stupid the average person is, and then realize that half of them are dumber than that." You know.
Yeah.
And that's like all I could keep thinking about. I was like, he's telling this story, and he's just assuming that there are at least some rational individuals going along the way. And I would argue there are less than what he assumes.
Yeah, like I would consider myself to be an average intelligence person. So
the only reason I would say that the only way that we would handle this better than we handled COVID would be that, going back to those individuals, that was an invisible thing. For them, it was an invisible thing. It's this invisible thing that's in the air that's supposedly killing me. You can't tell me, do I breathe it? Do I touch it? What? You can't tell me any of this. Whereas if it was legit zombies, it's very clear. Oh no. There's a physical thing coming down the street right now to kill your ass. Like, of course, by that point it may be too late, but it would be very visible to see what the hell's going on. Of course, the way that they talk about it spreading, especially through, well, not just like, people getting on planes and stuff like that, but through the transplants and stuff around the world.
Mhm.
Like, that's a scary ass idea.
Yeah.
That, it would be spread that way. And then you'd literally have people becoming zombies all over the world with no contact anywhere.
Yeah.
So
I did think
that would throw people for a loop.
Yeah. I did think of one more question for him. The feral children. What was the inspiration for the feral children? And especially because they interviewed that one woman who like intelligence of a 6-year-old. Is that
something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd just be curious as to what was his inspiration for that, and where did he pull that idea from?
The questions I had were, how much research did you do into cultures? Yeah. I mean, I haven't done the research myself, but they seem pretty spot on. Like the otaku, I know that is a thing that, especially it's really prolific in Japan, is that they otaku children and adults now, I guess, essentially, they live online. Like, they don't socialize and everything else. And the country is having issues because of it. Definitely some of the viewpoints are pretty easy to figure out. Like, I think all of the Russian stuff is pretty spot on of, no, we're fine. We will do our own thing. Like, okay. So, I thought some of the cultural information I thought was pretty spot on. Like I said before, did you get any help writing some of the characters? Because like you said, Joseph, this could have very easily been, hey, everyone, here's what happened. You write your story as to the part of it, and we'll weave it in there. And it very much could have been that type of thing. It was done really well. And then, of course, like I said, I really want to ask him, did your dad have anything to do with helping you get this voice cast? Because, my God, did you get a hell of a voice cast?
Yeah.
So, well, that's all the questions I had. Was there anything else that stood out that in particular that, you want to kind of discuss or think about?
I want to know what Sean thought.
I do too. I really want to know what Sean thought. Yeah, I'm just kind of going through here and I'm looking at, I don't want to go like, story by story or whatever, but yeah, there's so many good stories in here. It's scary. The idea of everything, the way everything goes down in the beginning of the book and everything just, it's very slow to start going. And then once it ramps up, it just, it's this unstoppable force.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of how they were like, the plan. Agent Orange, the plan to roll back to a safe location and leave pockets of humanity behind. That is diabolical, and I could absolutely see that shit happening.
Yeah. Without question, they would.
Yeah. So that was an interesting, and that one took me a listen before I was like, oh, he's talking to the dude. He's just lost his mind. Like Rediker was his last name. He's like, because he's the way he's talking, it sounds like he's a guy who's with him, like his partner, his helper, or something like that. And then when he goes to sign out, he's like, no, I was here to see. That's the guy. He's in a psych ward and he's lost all of his marbles. So yeah. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up on that one. So our next book, and Jen just let us know this, I have no idea anything about this book, is The Binding by Bridget Collins. So that will be our book for April. And so we'll come back and review that one in April. With that being said, what else have y'all been reading?
I'll jump in.
Okay.
I've gone back through the Bubbaverse.
Okay.
I've made it all the way through. I am almost done with the Not Till We Are Lost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been back through. You got to go through it once in a while and just listen to good old Bob.
Yeah, they're good.
I spilled my soda. Give me 2 seconds.
Sure, no problem. That sucks.
Yeah.
You been reading anything else, Ray, or have you just been going through the Bob?
Yeah, just Bob. Just trying to get through that one, and then other than that, it's been podcasts and a few other things. So, a lot of talking about books.
I bet.
Books. I've been telling everybody about Nathan Lowell because there's some sci-fi people around here, and we're trying to get more of it. And so some people are like, "Well, I want like a comfy story." I'm like, "Oh,
yeah, you got a story for that."
Yeah, so you can get into Ishmael and his whole story, or you can get into it was great to talk about that. And then the other thing that I've enjoyed, a lot of people are starting to pick up on Dungeon Crawler Carl as well. I'm seeing it everywhere, of course. It's been fun to talk about that one. But one of my favorite customer interactions I've had so far, there was somebody came through with their daughter. And their daughter grabs her mom's arm, and it's like, and couldn't quite hear what they said. And then, as they come up and they buy their books, we find out that the kid's not, in grade 9, and she really loves the bookstore. And I'm like, we impressed a teenager. Yes.
Well, good on y'all. That's a very good sign.
Yeah. Yourself?
Do what?
Yourself? What have you been listening to?
So I finished Operation Bounce House. I did enjoy it. Did I talk about it on the last episode that I got to meet Matt Denman?
No.
Okay. So so I I got this email. I signed up. I was going to go meet Matt Denman, who is the writer of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books. And it was doing this event here in Austin, or down in Austin. And I was like, okay, I probably need to leave early so I can get there, because along with the ticket, I can't remember how much the ticket was. It was like $60 or so, 60 or 70. So it wasn't too bad. But you got to be there for the talk. But then you got a signed copy of, let me grab it real quick. Hold on.
Yeah. And while we're waiting for Eugene, and he's not listening. Joseph's back, so I can stop talking then.
Sorry for the audio listeners.
Sorry,
anyway,
I was filling it in.
I got a signed copy of his newest book, Operation Bounce House. It's I'll talk about that here in just a second. Anyway, got a copy of it, I got an email saying, hey, if you want to get the other item signed, you need to be one of the first 400 people who show up. And I thought, oh crap, I'm gonna have to get there early. So sure enough, I got there right after noon, and there were already 2 couples ahead of me. Like they had been there even for a couple hours before that. So it was fun hanging around with other people who like Dungeon Crawler Carl, and we get to talk and all this other stuff. But then we got to go to the event. I was literally, the man, like when there was maybe 40 to 60 people in line, he showed up because he had to sign all of these books. But he shows up and he walked the line, and I got a picture with him. So I don't know if I posted that on Instagram. Maybe I should go back and do that.
Yeah,
But anyway, I got the other book I got signed was of course the OG Dungeon Crawler Carl. And the thing that I don't want to say sucks, but the fact that now that and he crossed out Carl and put Eugene. That was cool. I was halfway hoping I was going to get one that had the where he puts whatever, the crawler died on the first floor, whatever. But I don't want to say this sucks, but now I'm just like, I want the rest of these guys on the shelf too. So yeah, I may start slowly but surely collecting them just because it would look cool in the background, and I like those books.
Great.
But anyway, yeah. But anyway, so Operation Bounce House. Joseph, you will love this book. I think you will love this book. Ray, you're gonna like this book. Chris is not probably going to like this book. I think, and I'm pretty sure Sean will like the book. It does seem like it's just a one-off. Kind of hope it is just a one-off, just so he'll stick to Carl until he's done. But I did enjoy the book. The next thing, and Jesus, another reason I wish Sean was here. The other book, one of the other books I read was Ground State by Craig Allenson, which is book 18 or 19 of the Skippy books. I'm enjoying them. I'm still enjoying this book series. I still love hanging out with Joe and Skippy, and it's just a lot of fun. And what's crazy is because there's all those different races in that book series. A lot of them can kind of be mapped onto Twilight Imperium, the board game that I'm playing. What's funny though is different personalities. So like the Emirates of Hakan are the lion-looking characters in that board game, but they're all like they're a peaceful race and they're all about trade. Whereas in the Skippy series, they're asshole kitties. So, and then even though the humans are whatever, we're the band of pirates, in the book series, and we're the heroes. The Federation of Saul in the board game are assholes. I actually just played them this last weekend, and yeah, you have to be very, very aggressive, and that's not how I normally play. So it was just like, okay. And then I started reading one other book. I'm reading I think it's a 3-part series. I'm still kind of out on it. Like I want to finish the first book, and I may even go ahead and do the second book just to kind of see if maybe it picks up from here. But it's called The Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. It's read by Will Wheaton, and I'm enjoying the writing. I'm enjoying the reading and everything. I'm just not sure if I'm 100% sucked into the world yet. So, but I'm willing to keep going with it. And like I said, I may go ahead and pick up the second book to see, maybe it really latches on in the second book or something. So I don't know. Joseph, what else you been reading?
Since we last met, I have read Beware of Chicken 5. I did really enjoy that one.
Okay, good.
I
was a little worried. There were some parts in that book I got a little worried, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep. But I did enjoy the imagery with the fight between Jin and Grandpa.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty cool. And then I'm currently reading a book called Shrubly, the Monster Adventurer. It is a fantasy novel or whatever, but it's about a monster who wants to be the adventurer and all the crap he has to deal with in a world of humans that want to murder him because he's a monster. What the name, I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. But what actually drew me to it, because I started it right after Beware Chicken 5, is it also narrated by Travis Baldree, and he has a lot more range than what he displays in Beware of Chicken.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Okay. I may have to look into that one. So you're liking it?
Yeah, I'm liking it very much. It is they do touch on, just like the prejudice and all that kind of stuff of the heroes looking at monsters, and then from the what it's like to be in a monster's shoes when stuff is going down and whatnot. So it's pretty cool. The main character, Shrubly, is might be a little too optimistic for my taste, but getting to where I'm at in the book now, that is slowly changing as he gets stronger or whatever. Travis Waltree is doing a great job of narrating. There are 4 monsters in the party, and he's introduced a couple extra characters, and you could have told me that it was 6 different voice actors doing the voices.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah, may have to check that one out. Well, I guess that's it for that. Let's go ahead and move on to our where is it? There it is. Let's go ahead and move on to our social media stuff. We're gonna start with you, Joseph. Where can we find you online?
Sometimes on Blue Sky. I've actually been trying to do a little bit of a cleanse. Get off of
Really?
the internet, because the world is terrible. So I don't want to be reminded of it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, if you needed to find me, you can find me there.
Okay, cool. I don't know. What about you, Ray? Where could we find you online?
So the world is terrible. So you go to the Real Life Community, you just check out some art stuff if I post it once in a while, which is very rare. Or you go to the book peddler on Instagram, or you come to the store and you find a book to change your view on whatever it is, because these are great escapes. Or you can go over to the nonfiction side and grab something of history, because we're repeating it anyway. So
might as
Fair
well
enough.
be well versed on it.
exactly.
You could almost pull it out and be like, "Oh, so that's what comes next."
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair
I'm
enough.
still waiting for one thing. I won't say what it is, but
Yeah.
Okay. It's ominous. Pardon me. And as always, you can find my individual wacky adventure at Optimus Gene on Instagram. And then you can follow us at Epically Geeky, where you can find all the shows and everything that we do. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's going to start getting quieter on social media, mainly because I'm not seeing the hits and stuff I was seeing. And from what I've been reading, somehow or another, I got caught up on this, and I think I actually sent it to y'all. Apparently reels are not the thing anymore on Instagram. It's slideshows. People want to be able to slide through and they want information. Well, that's not really the type of thing that I do. So, but like I was telling Alex, go on.
wait, let's go ahead of the curve. We're going to do reels as the carousel. So that's
I know, right?
through the skit.
Yeah, multiple reels. Yeah. Like I was telling Alex, I just finished up the reels/shorts for last week's Epically Geeky show. And I had too much stuff going on. There was just no way I could get them done in time. But like I basically fed it, because I've racked up a bunch of extra credits. I fed it that entire 2-hour episode, and we had multiple questions. There were 4 of us answering questions. And it wanted to keep, like, they probably gave me 4 or 5 different edits of like the same question, the same thing. And I'm just like, I think the AI on this thing is something's wrong with it, or it's not doing its job. So I'm really thinking I was going to try to go an entire year of doing reels/shorts. But yeah, I'm just not seeing the payout, and it's becoming a chore for me. So I'm probably going to use up the rest of the credits I have this month. And I think I may be done with it, because like I said, I'm not seeing the impact I was seeing at one point. Like, we used to get thousands of views on stuff, and now it's hundreds, and sometimes it's in the teens in some cases.
And hi to those that watch, because we enjoy you watching. So
do what?
Hi to those who watch, because we enjoy you watching. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to go through the watching here. We did have some people watching earlier. Born Distracted was here. It's always good to see you. Last Line jumped in. And then of course my boy Wolfus had to jump in there with his well. So, and no, I am not changing the name of the show to Eugene and the Radical Readers. It's not happening. He's like, you should do a shirt, Dad. I'm like, no, it's good. I'm fine. So, yeah, so that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, our next book is whatever it was, that one that Jennifer said that we're doing, The Binding by Bridget Collins. So that's our next book coming up for next month. So for everyone on the site and everyone in the chat, have a great night. Make sure to check out epicallygeeky.com, where you can find all of the shows that we do, including the Epically Geeky Show, Marginally Geeky Book Club, Creatively Geeky, Sustainably Geeky, EG Live, and EG Gaming. But before you do,
make sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube. And if you're a person with a human-style body, why not head over to our TeePublic store and grab a t-shirt, hat, shorts, or whatever else they sell to cover that body. You can find the link in the show notes. And thanks for supporting us here at Epically Geeky. See you next time.